Hey, good morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
Good, good. Hey, I was chatting to your supervisor, and he said he would like me to run through this training course with you, because you'll be given some more responsibilities in assisting with the maintenance and checking of mobile equipment and other plant around the okay, around the workplace. So I just do this training with you to make sure you understand what your requirements are when that starts happening. So before we start, just a few housekeeping things. Um, if you need water, it's just down that way, just down the kitchen where the kitchen is. Just through this door and towards the kitchen. If you need the bathroom, you just get out of this door and go left and keep heading left. You'll get to the bathroom there. And if you need to use your phone, just let me know. Just keep it on silent at the moment. And if you need to make a call, just let me know, and I'll give you time to get out of the classroom and make your call. Right. I just got a sign-on sheet for you here. Just on where it says section 1, just put your name and signature, and then I'll fill out the rest. Just these two boxes here. Thank you. So before we continue, I just got up on the screen there our emergency evacuation procedure. So if we have an emergency situation, let's say there's a fire or there's a gas leak or there's something that requires us to leave the premises, we will go to the master point. So you hear an alarm going off. When you hear the alarm going off, just stay seated, stay calm, and wait for further instructions. I'll let you guys know to head to the exit, to the emergency exit, and just head there and just go there in an orderly manner. Don't panic. And then after that, we'll head to the master point area, and we'll remain at the master point. We have our names ticked off the roll call, just to make sure that everyone else has left the area. And then after that, we just wait for further instructions. They might say, if the area is safe, we might be able to come back, or we might need to leave the whole workplace if there's a situation. If that happens, we just wait for the emergency services people to let us know what we need to do. So yeah, any questions regarding that? That's happy? Okay, that's all right. Hopefully we didn't have any of those emergencies. So performing single energy source isolations. The main thing is why do you need to isolate, right? And it's because we've got a duty of care, right? We've got a duty of care to yourself, that you look after yourself. You've got a duty of care to others, your workers in the area or other visitors in the work area, and you've got a duty of care to to protect the plant and machinery as well. So we've got to protect three things: ourselves, other people, and the equipment around us, and the equipment that we're working with. That is the main reason why we need to perform isolations, really. So in this course, we'll go through the who, what, when, where, and why, all about isolation, right? So the question of what are we isolating? Is just plant that's got the potential to release energy that could hurt us or other people. That's what we're isolating, right? Who can do isolations? Only the personnel that are trained to isolate can do isolations. If you don't have the training, then you won't be able to do isolations. When do we isolate? It's the main thing. It's we only isolate when we are doing servicing, or if we're doing some pre-start checks or equipment checks around the plant. If we're in an area where the plant could start and run us over or get us caught in between, we isolate so that we can do our checks, knowing that it can't start or someone can't start it without seeing us. And so we put the isolation. We isolate at the power point, right? Usually most machinery is an isolation spot where you just put your lock and tag in and you isolate it. During this session, I'll also show you how to install a lock and a tag, and how to complete a danger tag. Why do we isolate? Again, it's as you say, duty of care to protect ourselves, to protect other people, and to protect the machinery that we are working with. Yeah. Alright. So again, I want to show you this video, just kind of give you an idea, an overview of why isolation is important and why we do it. So I just play a YouTube video, just take time and listen to what's said there, and also see what's being displayed in the video, and it'll give you a bit of a better idea of why we isolate and all that.
tagout is one of the most important safety concepts in the workplace. Lockout tagout is the procedure that we use to control hazardous energy during processes like maintenance and inspections. The world we live in is powered by all sorts of energy sources. This energy powers our work. But if this energy isn't controlled, it can be dangerous and even deadly. This becomes especially important during maintenance activities like inspections and repairs. The way to control hazardous energy is by using lockout-tagout procedures. In lockout-tagout, the lock physically isolates the source of energy to prevent any accidental activation. The tag provides important information. Lockout procedures have 4 basic parts. Number 1, identify hazardous energy sources. Number 2, de-energize these sources. Number 3, apply locks and tags to prevent unintentional startup during work. And number 4, test the system to make sure energy isolation was successful. This is sometimes referred to as tryout. Then conduct your maintenance work safely. Once the work is finished, make sure you get everyone and all equipment out. Then you may remove the locks and tags and re-energize the system. Control energy hazards to keep yourself and your coworkers safe. Remember, lockout, tagout, and tryout to control hazardous energy sources.
Nice. So what do you think of that video there? Is there anything that's interesting or that pops out to you?
I think the main topic when it said lockout, tagout, and tagout, I think it was the most interesting one.
Right here. That's it. So really, right, the main point of isolation is make sure that we identify any hazards, control any hazards that might harm us, right? So identify where energy sources may come from. It could come from moving parts of mechanical parts. It could come from a release of gas, let's say from gas cylinders or containers. It could come from like some heat sources as well, right? Or like some water sources. Could be like flooding if you're working in a tight area. So it's important that we identify those areas and we isolate it so that energy doesn't get released, right? Sometimes it can happen by someone coming to press a switch, or sometimes machines might malfunction and it may just accidentally come on. So it's important that we isolate so that doesn't happen. So in our workplace, we do maintenance activities and checks on these machineries and equipment. So it's important that we do isolate and do it properly, right? So when the isolation has 3 main things, right? It's you lock, you put your tag on it, and then you try. So the lock is a red lock, and I'll give you later in lesson. So it's just a red lock looking like this here. You put the lock on the isolation point. You get a tag. You complete your tag with all the details required: your name, the time, and the work you're doing, and the equipment that's isolated. And you put this on the isolation as well. And then you test it to see that it doesn't start, that it's completely off, and then you're good to go. And if and also you know that no one can come and take away from you. It's only one key, and only you have the key. Only you can remove this, right? So that it gives you a peace of mind that if you're working under a forklift or under a vehicle, no one can get in the vehicle and start it and start driving when you're underneath it, because you'd have locked on the isolation, and they will need to remove, for the lock to be removed, for them to be able to turn on the vehicle. So that's the main part of all this, you know. And it depends, again, the success of this process depends on two main principles and key factors. So it's training, right? So for you to know what you need to do when you're out there, to know what your requirements are, that's important. When you know that, it's the first step of working within this isolation procedure, right? And then the next step of it, the second part of it, is your own discipline to follow instructions and follow the procedure that's been given, right? It's a combination of two things, the training and actually doing it. And you put those together, and then you can perform isolations and conduct work safely, right? What can go wrong if you don't isolate and you start working on something?
If someone else turns it on, it might be dangerous
for you. And like what could happen?
you can get injured.
Yeah.
When it turns on, it could actually cause something serious.
Serious, right? It can even kill you, right? And so it's important that we have it isolated. And right, so there are different types of energies that we use out here, right? So we're stored energy. There's energy from like compressed springs, from like suspensions, or sometimes from gases, right? So you've got a big gas tank, there's stored energy in there. If it releases, it just goes everywhere. You've got hydraulic systems as well that contain stored energy. Another one is electrical energy, right? So from power sources or batteries, right? What equipment in the workplace might contain electrical energy?
Sorry, what was the question?
Like what equipment in the workplace can contain electricity, like electrical energy?
Metal?
Yeah, sometimes metal that's connected to like electrical sources, right? Or even like let's say some electrical equipment can also contain electrical energy. Mechanical energy from moving parts such as vehicles and so on, or like even like conveyor belts and that. We also have thermal energy, which can come from heat stored in other equipment, and also chemical energy from, again, hazardous substances, using having chemical drums stored in your area. That's chemical energy. It can also hurt you. Or gravitational energy, like things that have the potential to fall on you, that we call that gravitational energy. So for performing these isolations, we use a red lock, right? It just identifies that red just means danger. When you think of red, just think danger. So it's a red lock and a danger tag. And people know that when this lock is on, they can't remove it. They can't remove it. They can't tamper with anything, because if they do, they'll cause serious injury or even a fatality, right? So it's important to know that. Now, there are also other locks that are used in all isolation processes, but for this session and for what your role will be moving forward is just to perform single energy isolations. So don't be surprised to see other locks out there, but if you're the one performing isolation or single energy source isolations, make sure you're only using the red lock and the one lock, right? As we go on further down the line, you might receive future training for using other locks to do multiple isolations and so on. Right. So another important thing that accompanies our lock is a danger tag, right? They're used together. So the lock, it locks it up, and the danger tag provides information for other people to know what you're doing in the area. So the danger tag will have your name, we have the date that you started doing the work, we have the time. You also have the activity you're doing. You put up servicing a car, or I am doing some cleanup underneath a conveyor belt and things like that, right? So that's good. As you can see, there's got information that you need to put in so other people can know what's going on. It also warns other people. When they see a danger tag, they know, let me not interrupt, let me not touch anything here, because someone is working in the area. In the workplace, you also see some yellow tags, right? These are called out of service tags. So they are not danger tags, they're out of service tags. So you put out of service tags on equipment that needs repair or maintenance, right? So anybody can put an out of service tag on, but only an authorized person who has repaired whatever is broken can remove it. So mechanics can remove out of service tags. Electricians can remove out of service tags, but you and I can't do it because we're not authorized to fix or repair that equipment, right? So it's also important not to use this on isolations because it's just an out of service tag. But again, it can attach on anything that's faulty or anything that's broken down, and you can replace it or remove it, or it can only be replaced or removed by a person who is fixed the equipment. Right? And sometimes an isolation that there's no isolation point or item on the machinery, you can use something called a lever lockout device. So you attach it to where something usually turns on, you can lock that so you have access to actually turn it on. That's another thing you can use, is for some pipes or some plumbing where you need to isolate, and when it doesn't have an isolation point, you can add one yourself, right? Another times you can, if you have multiple people performing isolations, if you have multiple people working on something, you can have a lockbox. So a lockbox ideally is one person puts a lock on the isolation point, and that lock goes in that key goes in a box, and everyone else puts their locks on. Now the only person that that key can be taken out is if everyone removes their lock from the box, and then they can be safe to remove it. But that's another idea. In some other spaces, you can also have different types of lockbox or code blocks that you can do. It's all the same idea. Let's say you and I were working in the same area. Let's say you and I are both working under the truck, right? Both of us will lock on. If you're finished doing, you can come on and remove your lock, right? But my lock is still there, and no one can start it until all our locks are open. That's what it does. Or vice versa. Let's say you and I are working or cleaning under conveyor belts, and we put our locks on, and I'm finished doing my part, so I remove my lock. No one can come in and press start on the button because your lock is still there, right? And also with that is risk assessment. So risk assessments that we rely on to make sure that we got everything covered in terms of risks and all that in the area. So it's important that we do our JSAs and streams regarding isolations, and we have all those things in place before we start isolating. And also we go ahead and complete the information on the danger check, make sure that it's all covered, so that people know what's required of us and so on. And also know what we're doing in the area, and if they have any questions they can always ask us. So with these ones here, with the danger checks, no one can remove it, right? So let's say if you leave the area and you leave it on, they won't be able to start it until they make communication with you to be sure that you're out of the area. Sometimes they can call or come back to the area to remove it, or sometimes they can just confirm and remove it for you. But it's important to have your name and details on there. So really, that's the whole system of isolation. You stop the lock, you tag it, you put the lock on it, and then you test it to make sure that it's safe, and then you continue with your work. So what we do, right? What I've got here is a lock and a tag. I'll just give this to you. Right. So what we do, right, is your tag there, just put your name on the tag. Let's say we're preparing to isolate something. Where it says name there, just put your name. And position is put trade assistant, that's your position. And then for branch, just construction, we're in the construction department, so just put that as and then put today's date, today's time. And let's say our task for today is cleaning underneath the conveyor belt. That's our task for this year, right? And at the back here, it says identify what equipment is being tagged, right? So we can say conveyor belt number 3, right? That's the equipment we're tagging.
So what would you want to talk about on the details?
Other details, so just what we're doing. So we are cleaning underneath the conveyor belt. So it's important to have the details there as well, so people coming in the area can know where not to go and where not to interact.
And do I need anything for the
So that once so for the outcome, I'll give you that blend for now. So once that's finished, right? You attach the tape to your key, like so. So they can be kept together, and people will know like, the information that correlates to the lock. And once that's done there, you attach your lock to the isolation point, right? And then you know that it's all isolated. People know to be aware, to touch your tape or to try and operate the equipment. So know that it's all safe and sound, and you are good to operate. So that's the main thing really right there. And if you have any questions whatsoever about anything, you can always ask your supervisor. If you're not sure, if you can't find the isolation point, ask your supervisor as well. If you isolate and it still starts, just also ask the supervisor and make sure it's all right. So from our session here, what can you tell me about the reason why we isolate? Why do we isolate?
To make sure that no other person can come in.
And what happens if we work with machinery without isolating? What will happen?
Another person could come and turn it on and it could be dangerous.
Exactly right. Yeah. And if we can't find an isolation point, what do we do? If we can't find an isolation point on a machinery, on a piece of machine or vehicle,
you can put the what's it called?
the lever, exactly right. You can put the lever on the start point, right? And then if we're not sure about anything, we can always ask who? Yes, as the instructor or the supervisor, right? Just ask them and then they'll give you all the information that you know. But yeah, what do you think of today's session? Yeah, right? Yeah. Do you feel confident about conducting single energy isolations?
Yeah, I feel confident.
Okay, yeah, that's good. And I know now at the moment you're just a trade assistant, but is there something you would like to work in the future? Like another trade?
I'm still deciding right now, but I'll see
Yeah.
when it comes to the future.
Okay, no, that's good. The isolations are done by everyone, right? By excavator operators working civil works, by crane operators in structural and mechanical, by electricians. So most trades use the isolation process. So it's good to know. It gives a nice foundation. So as you go in your career, you get better and better, and you identify what you need to do. But thanks, Dan. What I'll do is I'll give you a feedback form for you to complete about this section. And just it covers like the venue, the content, because like how the training content in general. So just complete this here, and then just hand it to me after we finish. Next time what we'll do is maybe next time we'll go out on the site and actually put the isolations on different equipment so you can give a better idea of what things need to be isolated. And yeah, what's it called? I mean, in the future we can also learn about more isolation processes. They are quite a lot more involved, and then we can have an idea of what other trades deal with. And as we get more experience in our industries, we can do even more complicated isolations, right? Yeah. But you can just complete that there. So after this course, I'll let your supervisor know that you've completed this course, and I'll also pass this record on to the HR manager, and they'll put this competency under and file it under your name. So in the future, they'll know that you have been identified as competent and given permission to conduct single energy isolations. Do you have any questions regarding the form you're filling, or are you happy?
I think I might be. Here you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the feedback. So we'll have other sessions to follow as well. That will also help you in your career development and also set you up for success in the industry. And in the meantime, if you have any questions at all whatsoever, do ask. You're also surrounded by other supervisors and trades around you who have a lot of experience in the area. So what we'll do is maybe I'll catch up with you tomorrow and see how you're finding the information of the session, and also following that I'll catch up with you on a daily basis after every meeting, and see if you have any questions or things to ask. Yeah, and again, make sure you note down anything and let me know if there's anything I can do to help. But otherwise, I think we've done a good job here. I think you've covered what we need to cover, and we'll keep our meetings up for a month, and then again, feel free to provide any feedback. The communication will be open, and yeah, hopefully after a month we'll see how well you're doing at isolations there. Now, thank you. It's been a good session done. I'll let you supervisor know that it's all completed, and then you and I can catch up a bit later. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Take care.